Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the tragic and highly publicized case of Twisha Sharma. We've got a deeply complex and, frankly, heavily contested subject to unpack today. We're going to break down the timeline, look at the central figures, and lay out the totally disputed narratives that are currently dominating the headlines. And we're doing this by looking exactly at the information coming directly from the sources on the ground. So, here is the absolute core question that has completely gripped the public. Twisha's sudden death has sparked this intense debate. Is it a clear-cut case of suicide, or is there something much, much more sinister beneath the surface? I mean, this single question has literally brought people out into the streets in protest. Now listen, in this explainer, we aren't here to play detective. We're not taking sides. Instead, we're going to look impartially at the very conflicting stories being presented by her family, her friends, and her in-laws, so you can understand exactly why this case has turned into such a massive mystery. Section 1. Demand for justice. Public outcry and family demands. The situation on the ground right now is incredibly tense. You've got widespread protests with people demanding answers from the authorities. And Twisha's family? They aren't just making vague calls for justice. They are being highly specific. First off, they are urgently demanding a second post-mortem, and they want it specifically at AIIMS, which, as you probably know, is India's premier medical institute. Why? Well, because the family openly suspects that the first postmortem had major flaws, and they believe a second look by top-tier experts will reveal hidden evidence. Second, they're demanding the immediate arrest of Twisha's husband, Samarth. And finally, they want direct accountability from the government regarding how this entire investigation is being handled. And honestly, this brings us to the biggest roadblock in the investigation right now. Where is Samarth? Twisha's husband, who actually happens to be a lawyer based in Bhopal, is completely untraceable. The police currently have zero answers about where he is. Think about that for a second. The fact that the primary person of interest, a legal professional who knows how the system works, has just vanished? That is throwing massive fuel on the fire of public suspicion. So this level of frustration recently boiled over into the political sphere. The media actually confronted Chief Minister Mohan Yadav directly with questions from Twisha's family. And the prevailing question echoing through the public right now is this. Is Twisha's mother-in-law so powerful that the government is ignoring the victim's family? People are openly wondering if political or social influence is actively stalling the pursuit of justice here. Section 2. Who was Twisha? The friend's perspective. To really understand who Twisha was, we have to turn to someone who knew her incredibly well. This is her close friend since 2013, Samira Sehgal. Now, the crucial thing to note here is how starkly her friend's views contrast with the narrative being pushed by her in-laws. Samira describes Twisha beautifully as the life of the room. According to a friend of a decade, Twisha wasn't just happy, she was an emotionally strong person who faced life head-on. If there was a room of 10 people, Twisha was the energy in that room. She was deeply helpful, always the very first to step forward and lift others up when they were going through a tough time. Let's track the timeline of Samira and Twisha's friendship just so we can see how suddenly things changed. They first met back in 2013 during a pageant training in Pune. Fast forward to the pre-wedding phase, Twisha told Samira she had met a guy named Samarth on a dating app. Everything seemed to be moving along totally normally. But look closely at that third point. Wedding day. Samira states that the very day of the wedding was the last time she ever spoke to Twisha. Post-wedding, Twisha became entirely unreachable. This sudden, chilling radio silence began the exact moment she got married. Section 3. Marriage and missing husband. A sudden disappearance. Now, according to Samira's account, the origins of this relationship were pretty standard for the modern era. As we just saw, they met on a dating app. Samarth was established as a lawyer living in Bhopal. Twisha kept her friends in the loop, explaining that they were talking. They eventually met up in person, and together they actively planned out the whole marriage and the formal introductions with their respective parents. On the surface, it was a totally collaborative, modern relationship, naturally progressing toward marriage. And because everything seemed so normal leading up to it, this was a natural reaction when Twisha went silent. Samira tried reaching out multiple times, calling, messaging, but Twisha simply stopped picking up. Samira admitted she had absolutely no idea Twisha was going through anything dark. As you can imagine, friends simply assumed she was just busy adjusting to her newlywed life. You know how it is. It's actually a pretty sobering reminder of how easily deep isolation can be masked as just normal everyday busyness. Section 4. Dispute over photographs. The modeling days. Okay, this right here is the first major documented point of conflict within the household, specifically regarding Twisha's past career in modeling. Let's walk step by step through how this tension escalated, which was just a month or two before the wedding. Step 1. Twisha confided in Samira that her mother-in-law was putting immense pressure on her to delete all her old modeling photos from the internet. Step 2. Yielding to this pressure, Twisha actually went as far as deactivating her own Instagram account just to hide the images. But then we hit step 3, which is just the technical reality of the internet. Twisha couldn't remove images hosted on third-party channels because she literally didn't own the copyright to them. So when Twisha tried to explain this copyright reality to her mother-in-law, she was met with intense judgment. Just look at this alleged quote from the mother-in-law. "I don't know what kind of pictures you've put online and what kind of clothes you've worn." Samira shared that this interaction left Twisha deeply disappointed and distressed. I mean, it really illustrates a severe clash of values and the immense pressure placed on Twisha regarding her professional past right as she was joining this new family. Section 5. Clash over mental health. Two completely different narratives. Right now, we are faced with two completely irreconcilable stories. On one side, you have the mother-in-law's claims. She alleges that Twisha was mentally unstable, exhibited highly inconsistent behavior, and was actually suffering from schizophrenia. But on the flip side, you have Samira's claims, representing a friendship of over 10 years. She firmly denies any mental instability whatsoever, stating Twisha was always happy, emotionally robust, and showed zero signs of the severe psychological issues claimed by the in-laws. It is literally night and day. Samira's rejection of the mother-in-law's narrative is absolute. When the media asked about the schizophrenia allegations, Samira said, "I don't know what she is saying and why she is saying it, because she was always someone who stayed very happy." She went on to clarify she had never seen Twisha act weak or unstable in the entire decade they knew each other. This total disconnect between the people who raised her and befriended her versus the family she married into is right at the very heart of the public suspicion. Section 6. Unresolved questions, the missing pieces. As we step back and look at the big picture of this explainer, we have wildly conflicting character profiles, a phone that went dead silent on her wedding day, and a spouse who has completely vanished. The authorities, the media, and a very watchful public are all waiting on the answers to these exact points. Will the government bow to public pressure and authorize IMS to conduct a second, highly scrutinized post-mortem? Where exactly is Samart hiding? And honestly, how long can a legal professional evade a high-profile police inquiry? And ultimately, why are the narratives regarding Twisha's mental health so fundamentally opposed? Someone's version of reality is simply not aligning with the facts. Which leaves us with this final lingering thought. With a missing husband, massive public outcry, and deeply conflicting stories about who Twisha Sharma truly was in her final days, what will the police uncover next? This investigation is far from over, and the truth, whatever it may be, is still waiting in the dark. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today as we unpacked the complex layers of this ongoing case.